Sarabona beloveds, thank you for checking out my channel, Doing It with Deniston. Today we are doing deed fraud. Well, that's not right. We're not doing deed fraud. We're going to be talking about deed fraud, what it is, how it can affect you and your family, and most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself. Now, the type of deed fraud that we're talking about is deed fraud where criminals steal your identity, pretend to be you in order to sell your property, whether that property is a piece of land, a rental property, or a second home, or they may take a loan against the property. Now, this has become such a big issue in recent years that the Secret Service, yes, that Secret Service that protects the President of the United States, has actually issued a warning about a significant increase in all sorts of real estate fraud that they've been seeing in recent years. And deed fraud is one of those types of frauds that are on the rise. So it's a real problem, beloveds, and I want you to know how you can protect you and your family, because real estate is the biggest source of wealth for most families. So what these criminals are stealing, they're not just stealing a piece of land or a rental property or a second home. They're stealing generational wealth from you and your family and our broader community. So let's talk about how it goes down, and then we're going to talk about how you can protect yourself. So criminals using the public land records, they identify properties that they think would make a good target for deed fraud. Then they'll forge phony documents, steal your identity, and they'll then list that property with an agent and sell it, make off with the money, and now you've lost your property and the criminal is gone with the money. Or they'll take a loan against it that of course they're not going to pay. Now your credit history is destroyed, and again the criminal is made off with money against your property, and you're left with having to untangle this. Beloveds, if you're watching this video on like YouTube Shorts or TikTok, then you know 3 minutes is not going to be enough for me to share with you all of this valuable information, particularly how you can protect yourself, whether you're a property owner or a property buyer. So at the end of this video, I'm going to ask you to jump over to my new YouTube channel, Doing It with Deniston. All right, so let's say, so this is how it typically unfolds. The criminals, as I said, they check the public records. They're looking for 3 types of property: vacant land, rental properties, or second homes. They're looking for properties that are not occupied by the owner, because that's going to make it more difficult, okay? The other thing that they're looking for with these properties is that the property has no mortgage against it, so no loan against it, and no other types of lien, because that too will make it more difficult to carry off the scam. And they're looking for something quick, and so that they can get away with it before anyone even fully realizes what has happened. So they've identified a property, they forge phony documents pretending to be the legitimate owner. If it's a property that they're looking to sell, then they'll list it with an agent. They'll list it at a quick cash sale price. They'll let the agent know, hey, I want to sell this thing quickly, try to get me cash offers. I'm ready to do business. And they're hoping that some buyer will come along that's willing to basically buy the property sight unseen without actually getting inside the property. Because remember, the criminal doesn't own the property. They don't have access to get inside the property and show the property if it's a rental home or if it's a vacation home. If it's a piece of land, that's a different story. You can just go to the land and walk around the land, see it, etc. But increasingly, we have been buying homes during the pandemic and even after the pandemic without actually having to go to the property because of remote work. People are buying properties out of state. So hence why the Secret Service has seen a rise in this particular sort of real estate fraud, because it's so much easier to get away with now. So let's say they're able to sell the property. Now you, as a legitimate owner, you find out after the fact because they've stolen your identity, they sold the property, they've made off with the money. Now you're left picking up the pieces. You have to get law enforcement involved. You have to get an attorney. You have to prove that it really wasn't you, that someone stole your identity, and that you never sold the property. Beloveds, you can see how it becomes just an incredibly expensive and long, drawn out nightmare. And who knows, you may never get the property back. The point is, you don't want to be in that position. So we're going to talk about how you can protect yourself. Similar scenario, if they're taking a loan against the property, they've stolen your identity, they pretend to be you, they get a loan from the bank, they make off with the money, and you're left picking up the pieces. Your credit score and credit profile is destroyed because naturally they've taken the money from the bank with no intention of repaying that loan. Even if you're not a property owner, you can be affected as a property buyer. Let's say you see an online listing for a piece of land. It's at a great price because remember, they'll typically price these properties at below the going market rate for the quick sale. You go ahead and you purchase this property, and then you find out after the fact that it was not legitimately sold to you. You, as a property buyer, now could be out of your hard-earned down payment money and whatever other expenses went into you closing the deal. You too have to now hire an attorney, get law enforcement involved, and try to untangle this whole mess. So let's talk about how you can protect yourself both as a property owner as well as a property buyer. So let's start with property owners. So the first thing you can do is check your title insurance policy. Chances are when you purchase the property, particularly if you purchased it with a mortgage, if you purchased it with a mortgage, you are required to do a title search. You are required to get title insurance. That title insurance has two parts. It has a lender's policy and an owner's policy. It's the owner's policy you're interested in. The owner's policy may cover you in cases of deed fraud and other misdeeds, no pun intended, but other problems, issues with the title. How do you find out? Get a hold of your policy. If you don't know where your policy is, it's okay. Contact the closing attorney or the escrow agent or the title company. Depending on where the transaction took place, there are different laws that govern it. Sometimes it's an attorney, sometimes it's just a closing agent, sometimes it's a title company. You know the transaction that you did, contact the parties that were involved, find out what type of title insurance you have, find out if you have an owner's policy, can it protect you? If you don't have it, can you still get one? Second step that you can take, credit monitoring, very important. Remember we said this, the criminals don't always sell the property. Sometimes they take a loan against it. It doesn't matter to them. They're looking for the fastest exit to get money against the property they've stolen from you. So sometimes a loan is easier than a sale. If you have a credit monitoring service, you can check your credit report monthly, see if there's any activity, new loans, for instance, right? New charge cards that you didn't open. Apart from deed fraud, ID theft in and of itself is a big issue that can devastate your credit as well as your finances. Add to that deed fraud on top of it, and you can see how this can be a nightmare scenario. So a credit monitoring service that checks your credit profile with all three major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, that can be very helpful in this situation. There is a credit service that many of my clients have used. I'll see if I can post a link to that one, but it doesn't matter. Any credit monitoring service that you're comfortable with. Your bank may provide you with access to your credit report and your credit scores monthly, or you may have that service available to you depending on the credit card that you have. The third step that you can take is increasingly the county clerk's office in your local area is providing property alert services. totally free for you to sign up. You can register if it's a piece of vacant land, if it's a rental property, if it's a second home. You can register your contact information. And if there's any change to the public record, anyone tries to file a lien or change the deed, you can be alerted. So if there is a case of fraud, you can stop this thing before it actually goes through. Remember, beloveds, they're not just stealing a piece of land, a home, or a rental property. They're stealing generational wealth. Real estate is the biggest source of generational wealth for the average family. Now, what can you do if you are a buyer? How can you protect yourself? You've seen a great deal on a piece of land or a rental property or a second home, and you want to move forward, but you want to make sure it's not a scam. The best thing to do, make sure there's title insurance involved. So even if it was going to be a cash sale where you weren't required to get title insurance because you're paying all cash, remember, if it's a mortgage, the mortgage company will definitely require you to do a title search, get title insurance. But even if you're buying all cash, beloveds, consider doing a title search, getting title insurance. How do you find out? Check with if there's an attorney involved, if there should be a title company involved, the escrow agent. They can go over all your options in terms of title insurance and how you can be protected if there's any issues with the title, including deed fraud. Beloveds, I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please like, share, and follow. Check out my new YouTube channel as well, Doing It with Deniston. Beloveds, each time I share a video, I want it to be something that is helpful to us and our community. I want it to help you create financial freedom, build generational wealth, and help us live our best lives as a blessing and a fragrance to our families, our communities, and beyond. Beloveds, thank you for checking out this video. Until next time, peace.